Julia.
How are you doing?
Just fine. So we meet again after painting together this afternoon.
Yeah, that was fun. And I'm glad that you finished your painting. I think I might be done with mine almost too, so it was
Oh, that's
fun.
wonderful. Do you want to show it to me?
Yeah, so I feel like because I started feeling like I had overdone some of the fonts, and I wish I would have just left them as is. So at this point, I just feel done. I
It's
feel
very
like
nice.
I'm done.
Yeah, it's a very nice large painting of the palm fronds from that particular angle that you took the photo of them.
Yeah, it's fun. So, and it was also an experiment because I put the tempera paint on there, and apparently I'm hoping it doesn't crack, but we'll see how it goes. Also, I'm using my new webcam. It seems okay for up close. I just didn't really like the way it was at an angle for painting, but up close it's pretty good.
Well, it looks very nice. And here is my painting. I added these clips here because it was starting to curl.
I love it.
Yeah.
She looks so
Uh,
familiar to me for some reason. I don't know. Is she from one of the Korean shows, like an actress?
No, it's a composite. I made her up. It's not any particular person, but I like the way that the shadows and, even that you can sort of see inside her mouth, but not really.
I like that. No, I think the shadow play it worked really well on her face and the way that her hair frames. It all turned out pretty cool.
Yeah, and so that's a watercolor and it's a loose painting technique. Um, so yeah, maybe we should go ahead and share this so that people know that we are live.
Yeah, I was gonna go ahead and actually, I was just waiting until we had a good thumbnail that would be shared, when we're live. So I will do that now. So, what is the loose painting technique exactly?
Well, I'm going to show you in just
Okay.
a little bit. Actually, I painted you when you were a little girl. That beautiful picture from school that you had posted. But it's inspired by you, but it's not an exact copy by any means. And that's part of what the loose painting technique is all about.
I mean, it's not exact, but I feel like it really does kind of have like the features of my face, if that makes any sense. It does look like me though. I kind of like it. It's cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you how I painted it, and we can talk about it while we're looking.
Great. That sounds good to me.
So what you notice is I started out, before I I used to always uh, start with a white background
Mm-hmm.
for my watercolors, but here I started with a pink under, you know, I underpainted the
Yeah,
face.
yeah, you are underpainting. That's the technique that everybody's really into actually. People love underpainting. So that's really cool how you implemented it. And then it looks like you started doing the hair to frame the face after that.
Yeah, yeah, and I kept erasing things too. And as long as it's very wet, if I don't like something, I can kind of smudge it off.
I
So
think
if I,
that's actually good about water paint, right? You can kind of smudge it off more.
yeah, I mean, in the case of acrylic paint, you can just overpaint anything you don't like, but you can't do that with water. So instead, what I have to do is, if I don't like something, I have to use a lot of water to get it off really fast.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. It's a much different dynamic, but I kind of like how more organic. it is. I feel like the loose painting with the water paint.
Yeah, I like the way I do that. And actually less is more.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I found out. I don't need to try to get every detail down correctly. Um,
You just want
but
to get more like the geometric shape of the face, the
no, no, no,
shadows.
no, no, yeah, no, not exactly. No, I don't ever get the geometric shape correct. You know, Julia, if I could, then I would be a perfect artist, but I'm not.
Well, I'm not saying it's perfect, but you have a sphere for the face, like it's a little oval. It's not completely.
No, no, no. I mean, I that's one of the ways in which I did you wrong, in trying to paint that picture. I actually got the shape of the face not correct. It was not correct. But so it isn't really, for me, it is really not the geometric shape, it's the relationships.
Okay.
It's like the thing that makes it look to me a little bit, not exactly, but a little bit like that photo of you is the relationship of the eyes to the nose to the mouth, regardless of the fact that I got the proportions and the shapes wrong.
I mean,
Um,
it is very similar to like to like the spacing of my eyes. Like the negative
yeah,
space is very similar.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's something about the relationship. There's something about recognizing somebody, and it really doesn't have to do with the proportions. I think that it does. So a lot of people try really hard to get all the shapes right, all the proportions right. They think if I get that right, I will get a good portrait. But what gets away from us when we try to do that is that really isn't how we recognize the person. We could see somebody with their photos stretched out. We could see it, a little bit wider than reality or a little bit narrower than reality, a little bit longer than reality. Um, it can be, the proportions can be a bit wrong, and we could still recognize that person.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, if you got all the proportions right, but the relationship between the eyes and the nose and the mouth isn't right somehow, then it won't seem like that person.
I look more just like a generic person, not that
Yeah,
specific.
exactly. Exactly. It might look like a person who has the exact same proportions, but not that person.
That's a very, very good point. I guess
So,
that's kind of like when I drew the picture of you with the parrot on your shoulder. Like honestly, it looked generic. It really did.
yeah, well, later I did see what the resemblance was. It
No,
was,
it was kind of generic because when I was seeing, I was like, that's not really her. Like everybody has a specific spacing in their eyes and the way that their nose, kind of like the bridge of their nose. I think you get that right. I do.
yeah, I mean, I think that's what I look for. And it's just because I don't know, I search for that in every person. When I look at someone, that's what I see. I don't necessarily see, exactly their proportions. Um, but I do see that relationship.
I mean, it really does actually look like my eyes. I have to say, like, there's
Well,
something.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your being able to see that.
I do see it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like I said, it's very cool that you do this loose painting so quickly. Like I think you're getting much better at it because you do it so you're practicing more. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I don't know. So let me tell you, I'm having trouble speaking today. So you'll have to excuse me if I splutter or whatever, because
Okay.
my breathing is not as good as it usually is today.
Okay.
Um, but I do have something to say about all this. So I'm a little bit afraid that maybe I'm going a little off the deep end, a little bit too abstract. Um, because the more I paint, the looser it gets. And I've shown it to other people, and some of them said, "Isn't this really abstract? Why does she have purple hair and stuff like that?"
Well, I
Um,
mean, that part might be a little abstract, but look at my hair tonight in the light with the henna.
yeah,
My hair has a little
exactly.
bit of a red tinge to it, like which the
Yeah,
henna really brings out. My hair is very dark brown, but the lighting brings out the red. So I don't think you're completely wrong there.
yeah. So what I'm trying to do is I'm doing it relative. First of all, I don't have the exact colors. Even if I wanted to paint the exact colors of the photo that I was looking at, I couldn't do it because I don't have that in the watercolor and I can't mix very well with watercolors. What I'm doing is I'm doing it relative. So the colors are relative to each other. And that's kind of like when you have certain kinds of lighting, it changes everything.
Mhm.
In one kind of light, it looks this way, in one kind of light, it looks the other way. So with the colors that I have, I try to create a lighting under which that would be correct for this person. Do you see what I'm
Yes,
saying?
I get what you're saying. Because there is everybody has certain tones to their hair. My hair has a little bit of red and purple to it. It might not be purple, but we also have to keep in mind with watercolor, it is more limited. You would have to. Watercolor is just not exactly like acrylic paint. I don't know if people understand that. The colors are more limited. It's more the essence.
Right. But what I'm doing with that is, so for instance, your skin is not, bright pink, right?
No, I
And you
guess I'm
saw,
like an olive tone complexion.
right, exactly. But once you look at how I'm painting it, even though I did start with a kind of bright pink, did you see that I did?
Yeah, in the
Uh,
beginning it looks a little pinkish. Yeah.
yeah, but it's not just because I wiped stuff off, but because if the hair is purple and the skin is pink, then the skin is not that pink anymore. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it kind of offsets it a bit, right?
Yeah, it's all relative. It's not that I have to have the absolute correct colors, but they have to bounce off each other in such a way that it will look sort of natural, you know?
I get what you're saying though.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not saying I'm doing that perfectly or anything, but that is the idea of what I'm doing. And the other thing is, I'm not going for every little detail. I'm trying to do a shorthand where it will look, if you look at it, because our brain can play tricks on us. And I'm trying to trick the brain into thinking, hey, that's Julia. But not, without painting every little bit of you.
I mean,
Uh,
you got the part where in that picture, the part that my mom didn't like, but I liked with my downcast eyes. I thought that was cool. My eyes do look downcast in this picture, so you got that.
yeah,
And yeah,
yeah, yeah. So that's what I do with a loose painting is I look for an impression of what it is that I want. And if it doesn't look like it, then I can smudge it a little and play around with it a little bit until it looks a little bit more like what I want it to be. So
hmm
actually, I started out with more details that were incorrect. And as I made it a little bit more loose, uh, I think the impression got to be better.
that makes sense. And that's what loose painting is. I think you're just trying to get the essence, not every single detail.
Right, exactly. So it's a it's a kind of shorthand for what it is that you're trying to get at.
That makes sense. It's kind of cool to see it start from the beginning and see how it evolves. You sped this up a little bit, I think, too, right?
No, I didn't, not
Oh,
this time. So
for some
this is
reason it was
it took about 28 minutes from beginning to end.
okay.
And that's what we're watching happen. And we can talk. We have plenty of time to
Yeah,
talk.
of course. No, definitely. I For some reason I guess my mind just thought it was looking faster than what it is, but you're right. It does look very much just in real time.
Yeah, it is real time, and it's just that's how I do it. And you can see I'm not that rushed. It's not like I'm running around, like crazy or anything like that. Um, so I take my time and I make mistakes and the paint drips down because, I mean, I suppose I could lay it flat, but I don't. Um, you know, there would be fewer mishaps if I lay it flat because, the water drips down. It goes, gravity.
But I think other people use easels when they do water paint, so that's fine.
Yeah, yeah,
It's useful.
right. It's just allows me to see it more the way the viewer would see it later. And I try to get away from it. I try not to be too close to the picture because I want to know what it'll look like a little bit further away.
But you know what's really cool about water paint? Like I said, sometimes things happen. Like, well, today I was getting kind of annoyed because I think I overworked some of the fronds. But it is interesting, like when things blend together, sometimes it does create like a certain effect that you didn't intend, but it can be interesting in its own way.
Right. And what I'm finding is that a lot of people um, who started out being very detailed painters will gravitate to this sort of more impressionistic loose painting after a while. I mean, even do you remember Lainey Frick? And she's a very fine artist.
Yeah, I remember she used to do like really detailed like portraits, right?
Well, I mean, what her favorite thing was actually animals. She's a farm girl from this area, and I commissioned her to do a painting for my cover, and it was beautiful, and I really loved it. But that wasn't her favorite thing to do. Her favorite thing to do was like horses and cows and kind of Western flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and she started out very detailed with all her animals that she was painting. But uh, later on in the evolution of her painting, things got more of a softer focus. I mean, she was still an excellent painter, but people just tend to gravitate to that after a while.
Why is that, do you think? Like, what makes people like gravitate to that type of painting? Is there a reason, or is it just more expressive, or
Yeah, it's more expressive. I mean, they master their craft, I'm not saying that I've mastered mine, but the real professionals, the ones who have been doing it for years and years, they've already mastered it. If they had to do a very detailed painting, they could,
Mhm.
but now they just want to express what it is they see and what the essence is of what they see, and how it moves them.
Yes, that makes
So,
sense.
yeah, so I don't know because I'm not a modernist, and I've never really wanted to do abstracts,
Mhm.
never. And I don't consider this to be an abstract like this painting. But there is something a little bit indeterminate about it, isn't there?
Well, maybe it's your own version of abstract art. Maybe it's Aya's version, and not like it's not. You can't put it in a certain box. Does that make any sense? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking about all the other people who are doing loose painting too, and what we have in common and what we don't have in common.
Is this loose painting like a new trend? Because it's not exactly like impressionist. It's not exactly like abstract art. It seems like it's a new thing. Is it like a new evolution in the painting world? Would you
I'm
say?
not sure if it's a new evolution or just a new term. I don't know. I mean,
But I looked at some of the loose painting on Instagram, and it just looks different than like impressionism, or I don't know. It just has a different feel to it. Does that make any sense?
okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Tell me what you saw.
Well, okay, there was a lady. She was just painting like buildings in Amsterdam, loose paintings, but it felt more like modern to this time, not modern to like the impressionist time. Like it just has a different. it feels like 2022, if that makes any sense. Like some of the loose paintings I'm seeing on social media, they don't look exactly like something the Impressionists would do, because the Impressionists would paint women in long dresses, or like a courtesan girl, and it's a different flair, a different flavor is what I guess I'm trying to convey. It's a little bit more modern what I'm seeing on social media with the loose painting.
Well, I'm sure the subject matter is whatever they
But
are
even
looking.
the strokes feel different, because like Impressionism, I don't know, like they do a lot, even though it's kind of loose, but they do a lot of little minute brush strokes. But this
Mhm.
seems a little bit more expressive. That's what I kind of get from it.
Yeah, it is very expressive. I mean, the whole point of it is how much can I convey, I think, at least to me, how much can I convey without working on it all day long and getting all the details right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I still want to convey something. It's not a nothing, it's not just a splotch on the paper or on the canvas.
Yeah, you are conveying something, and it's interesting, like to see how the loose painting evolves. It's very interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been watching this lady named Sandy Hester, and she does a lot of loose paintings. And actually, she's her emphasis is not so much on portraits. She loves to do landscapes, and there's a very childish kind. I mean, a childlike. I don't mean childish in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
Very childlike way that she approaches landscapes, where you can see a lot of what's going on in the landscape, but she you just have to see it to really understand what I'm talking about. It's at first glance you think it is childish, but it's not. You know?
Yeah, no, you're right. Like I think there's more. It's kind of like, okay, I know Pete the Cat is not a loose painting, but when you first look at Pete the Cat, it's a children's book series, he looks very childlike. But then I'm looking at all the details and I'm like, oh my gosh, he has like these like detailed cupcakes and backgrounds and beach scenes. So at first I thought, oh, it's very childlike, but I'm like, actually, there's a lot more to Pete the Cat, because I never understood what everybody was so obsessed with Pete the Cat for, but now I kind of get it, because it's not really my form of art that I like to do, but it's interesting.
Hmm.
People
Yeah.
really love Pete the Cat. I don't know, like they buy Pete the Cat stuffed animals, books. He's popular.
Mm.
I didn't understand why, but now I kind of get it. And I kind of think it has like a childlike art emphasis to it, and it appeals to people of all ages. It's very interesting. So, what would you say that your like goal is with loose painting right now?
My goal is to trick people into thinking that I did a lot more work than I did. That sounds like I'm a lazy person, but really my goal is with as few strokes as possible to convey something that does have a bit of realism to it.
Mhm. That's interesting that you said that, because I actually ended up watching this painting video. It was really interesting. This lady, it's not my subject matter. She paints fantasy like scenes. So she did a one painting, 1 hour painting versus a 10 hour painting versus a 100 hour painting, and compared all three. It was
I
really,
watched that too. I did too.
it was interesting, wasn't it?
Yes, yes. Um, yeah, because she put so much detail into the 100-hour painting that she was working on the background for a really long time before she ever got to her subject.
Yeah, I know, but what was interesting with the 1 hour painting? She did a lot with that tree. I was really impressed by
Uh-huh.
how much detail she went into that tree. For just 1 hour, I was like, wow. Even for the 1 hour one, like it wasn't as detailed as the 100 hour one, but it was still pretty good.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, she's very good. She's actually pretty realistic in her painting. So yeah, she could draw a man in an armor suit and it glistened in the sun and it was so small. She worked so hard on the tree.
I know. I don't know how she's very talented. That's
Yes.
seeing that YouTube recommended that video to both of us. And I wonder if it's just trendy in the art topic, I suppose.
Well, maybe after it recommended it to one of us, it knew that you and I are connected, so it did the same.
It might have done that. I know like another friend on YouTube a while back, like this was years ago, I had seen a video and then it was recommended to him and he goes, oh, because we were talking about it. It was kind of weird. We're like, well, I guess YouTube just works that way.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I saw that one and that was quite interesting.
I kind of thought you should do something similar where you do. This was just a thought.
I
It would
I can't do the 100-hour
no,
one.
no,
I
not 100-hour one, but what you could do is like a 20-minute one versus a I don't know an hour one, something like that. It doesn't have to
Well,
be.
that was this one, the one that I did of use right here in this painting that we're looking at was almost 30 minutes. It was like 28 minutes, okay?
Mhm.
And the one that I did with you today, this one was close to an hour.
So yeah, see, you've done it in a way. But if you combined both videos and called it one a half an hour versus an hour, that might be interesting to your audience. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I don't know because it's not the same. I never paint the same thing exactly twice, you know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It was just a thought because it seems like people like that topic, but
Yeah, yeah, there are lots of things. I tried to paint the Mona Lisa in 15 minutes, but I failed.
that's cool though that you attempted it. I've never tried to paint the Mona Lisa. A lot of people have. It seems like an interesting exercise.
It is an interesting exercise, and I want to get Bo to do it too.
That would be cool. I have one painting that I really had a fun making that I like to look at, and I've been looking at today. It's like Irina the cat is running out of the forest. She was never in the forest, but I don't know. It was just really fun to paint that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's great that you have that, and it's a nice memory.
Yeah, I well, that's the thing about painting. I feel like we have these memories connected to the paintings we're creating. You know.
Right. Yeah. The problem for me is that sometimes my brain tells me it's done, and I can't just keep going just because I promised somebody I would paint it for longer or whatever, you know?
Well, you don't have to. If you just want to like keep painting for a shorter amount of time, do that. You're
Yeah.
okay.
I know. I
Yeah,
know.
I think that's your style. Like I think you do more like just loose painting right now, right?
Well, yeah, but it's not like my paintings were better when I spent more time on them. So I mean, I think I'm getting better, and it's not just a matter of faster, you know. Uh, it's not really as if I put in twice the amount of time, I'd get twice the best, it would be a better
It's just
product.
more practice, I think, is what's making you better at the painting, right?
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, it like for instance, do you think I wouldn't have kept painting on this one past the 28 minutes if I thought I could make it better? I was just really afraid I would make it worse, you know?
I understand. I think with water paint, though, you kind of have to stop at a certain point. I mean, you can go back later, but only maybe with a landscape. I don't think with a portrait you can really do that. I think it's very quick with a portrait. A landscape, like with the palm trees, were a little bit more forgiving because I can kind of layer it a bit, but that's different. I don't know. It's just a different type of genre, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I have a large canvas in which I'm painting lots of different people, I can come in and paint one person and then paint the next person. But there's only so much I can do on any one person, you know?
That's true, but that's kind of the fun of the bigger canvas. You get to spend, if you want, you don't have to spend more time on like one thing, but you just get to spend more time because you have more room to cover.
Right. Well, I did that when I did that big
Yeah,
painting
that's
that,
what I was thinking. I was thinking about your painting.
yeah. Yeah.
I like the blue turquoise background, and you probably already knew this, but turquoise comes from the Turkish love of the blue and how the French thought, oh, Turks love blue, so that's why they called it turquoise. You already knew that, right?
Yeah. but I had to add that color because that's what made everything else natural. Do
No,
you
but I was just thinking about that because of the turquoise. I just brought that to my mind.
Yeah, yeah. I had to add it because now look at your skin. It doesn't look super pink anymore, does it?
It looks pretty olive like me.
Yeah. So by adding that background, I made it more natural, more like what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I like it. I think it turned out pretty cool. And you don't even really see the purple as much. Like it kind of blends in, you know. It's not just purple.
No, it's not. I mean, if you look at it the right way, you don't see the purple at all. I mean,
That's what I'm
purple is,
saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hair also has dimensions. Like if you look at my hair in this really bright light because of the henna, it brings out a lot of the red because I have like a ring light right there, just like with
mhm,
the sunlight. Even though my hair is dark brown, but there is like even people that have like jet black hair, their
mhm,
hair will look a little red in direct bright sunlight.
yes. So, yeah. So I think in a way, this might be a little demanding on the viewer. The viewer has to look at it, in a certain way to get what it is. And
Mm-hmm.
if they just look at it and say, "Oh, that's purple," that means they're not looking at the whole picture, you know?
Yeah, and maybe they just aren't interested in art. Maybe some people just don't. But I think people who are interested in loose painting can appreciate it, and their mind's going to be more focused on the entire picture, not just like one color. You know.
Right. So, like everything else, it's also in the eye of the beholder. It's not an absolutely objective thing, how you see this. Certain animals might look at this and just think it's a flat surface, and they might not see the image that we are seeing.
That's true. I mean, we see different colors in the spectrum than like an insect. The sky is a much different shade than to an insect than it is to us. So, there you go.
Yeah, but when we see it, we're conditioned to look for dark and light and to assume, that the nose protrudes and the eyes are sunk into the face and all this kind of stuff. And actually, it's just color on a flat surface.
It is, but we use the shadows, which is the negative space, to create that image in our mind because humans do that. Whereas I don't know if my dog would do that. Maybe my dog, I don't know. My lady dog used to recognize paintings. She would look at different things. I think she might, but I don't know if every dog would, you know?
Right. So maybe there are also people who are less conditioned to look at images than other people.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Because if people aren't interested in art, they're not going to be like looking at painting. We like to paint, and there's some people that like to look at art, or people that like to collect art. They're going to be interested in this. Whereas if you have somebody that's interested in, I don't know, sports cars, they're not going to be looking for the shadows and variations in a loose painting.
Right. So, as you see, that's the end. It stopped because, it didn't take me that long to do it. So now I'm going to unshare that
Okay.
so that we can talk. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, that didn't take very long to do. And actually, this one took about twice as long. But I don't know that it's twice as detailed. It's hard to say.
I mean, in some ways, the other one is more detailed. This one, I think, is more controlled, but in some ways, the other one's more detailed. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. Let me go find it because it is in this book.
Okay.
Um, so, see, this was my attempt at a 15-minute
Oh,
Mona Lisa
that is cool. When did you do that, Aya?
during my week of vacation. This is my first day back to work
No, I know,
today.
but did you post that? I guess I haven't seen it. I need to go look for it. Did you post it on YouTube?
I posted something about it, but you know what? It wasn't on YouTube. It was on Instagram, and
Instagram.
my Instagram, I hardly have any people looking at it. So,
I have to actually go to people's Instagram account if I want to see what I want to see. It doesn't always recommend things to me.
So, I don't think that Mona Lisa was anything to write home about, but it got me to thinking. And that's when that very same day, I was just mucking around. In fact, one person liked there was a person who liked one of my things that I put on Instagram. I think it was Bo. It was of Bo looking through the Louvre, the art treasures of the Louvre. And anyway, she looked kind of like this.
Hmm.
So I decided to paint her, and it wasn't a serious thing, and it was very experimental. And that's when I had my discovery that I could do skin tones, different skin tones, uh, based on the relative values of the colors rather than absolute.
That's
And so,
interesting. That's cool.
yes, so I did that. And then I saw your photo that you posted, and I just had to try.
That was
It,
fun. I liked it. It turned out really good, though. It is actually, in a way, more detailed than the more controlled one.
yes, I agree with you. And
Yeah.
that's why I don't think I could do what that lady did with the 100 hours and 30 hours, whatever it is. It just doesn't work that way for me. Each painting for me comes to an end when it comes to an end.
Yeah, it's that it's finality. You can't stretch it past a certain time.
Right. It would just it would destroy the beauty, I think.
Well, that's kind of what I was feeling like with the palm frond. I actually felt like I overworked one part of it today, and I was like, I wish I would have left it alone. Honestly.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you just have to decide this is pretty good and I don't think I can make it better, and move on to the next, which might be better or worse. So, that same day I did another thing. It's not that great, but I used a lot of blue and kind of like a fairy.
It's kind of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then after that I had to get back to normal, so I didn't paint anything until today.
But you did do a lot of painting. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. And I have to calm down and not paint all the time because there are other issues in the world besides painting. So,
To be honest, when I start though, I don't want to stop. I want to keep going. And when I finally get into drawing, I'm like, I want to keep going. I don't want to stop. I would rather just do that right now.
I know, I get like that too, but it's dangerous because it's like, to me, it's like a drug. And if I forget that I have bills to pay and things to do, and, I can't do that.
I know. I kind of realize I have that tendency. I'm like, oh, this is real fun. I want to keep doing it. No, I can't. I have to stop.
Yeah, yeah. So I have to balance things, that's not the only thing that I'm doing. But okay, so after all of that, and I take pictures of my paintings, and the camera says, it's an artwork. Do you want me to look it up? So I thought, well, maybe I should look up the artworks that I have that are not by me, you
Yeah,
know?
sure.
And that's when I found out that this painting behind me, can you see it?
I see it. I love that painting.
It's by a semi famous artist. And let me see if I can share some information about it. I don't know if you can see that. Do I need to make it bigger?
I see cedar oil printing production. I see a little bit, but maybe
Hmm.
let me see if I can get close. It says he was born in 1890, lived to 1981. Interesting.
So his name is Pinchus Kremegne, and his Hebrew Hebrew name is Pinchas Kalmin, and his Russian name is Pinchus Kremen.
Oh.
Okay. Um, yeah, and he was born July 28th, 1890, and he died April 5th, 1981. He was known as a Litvak French artist, primarily known as a sculptor, painter, and lithographer. And he was a native of Jaludak near Lida. He was a friend of Chaim Soutine and Michel Piquan. He studied sculpture at the Vilnius Academy of Art. He became a target of pogroms because he was a Jew. He
Oh,
fled to Paris in 1912. In Paris, he joined the group of painters of Montparnasse and soon became one of the respected residents of La Ruche. In 1915, he gave up sculpture in order to dedicate himself to painting. It was he who encouraged Soutine to come to Paris. He left Paris to live in a small town in the Pyrenees called Céret. This village, which is a little inland from Collioure, attracted other painters such as Soutine. Uh, Although Soutine did not like the town very much, let's see, um, he completed many paintings there over a couple of years. He never settled, but his compatriot Kremegne had a house built there around 1960. This small, unassuming house, a reflection of the man himself, is nestled into the mountain and overlooks the village. There was a falling out between the two men, perhaps stemming from some ingratitude shown by Soutine for his mutual mécène or benefactor who had helped them out. Um, Later, Céret was to attract other painters. Clement died in Céret. Underestimated as an artist today, he is overshadowed by Soutine and Chagall. By the way, I have a print of Chagall with a signature. It's not an original, but I do have that as well. My mother gave it to me.
wow. So you have some
Um,
kind of semi-famous art. This is cool.
yeah. So this painting that I have um, on my just behind me, you know,
Mhm.
did you see it?
I see it, and I always like it a lot, actually.
Yeah. So I inherited it from my grandmother, and I'm pretty sure it's my grandfather who bought it or received it as a gift. I'm not sure. Um, and here are some other artworks by the same artist. Um,
Oh, interesting.
let's see if I can. Um, I don't know if I can make that bigger. Can you see it?
Yeah, it looks like a little picnic on a table kind of thing.
Yeah. So this is his technique of painting.
It's
Um,
kind of abstract in a way.
yeah, it is very abstract, but you can still tell what it is, so it's not completely abstract.
No, I can see a basket. I see like a picture of maybe water, some fruit. It looks like. I mean, I
Yeah,
can tell what's there.
yeah. Now here it's really hard for me to tell what it is, but I think it's a landscape.
I see some trees, and then right here, I see some houses, like in the background. It looks like maybe, yeah, those are houses for sure.
That one is,
Oh, I kind of, this is interesting. Like, not my style, but I love this painting.
yeah, I think that Sandy Hester, the woman that I like to watch now, and it took me a while to realize that she was pretty deep, because it looked kind of childish at first. These are the kinds of landscapes that she likes to do, like this. Uh,
Wow.
well, I mean, not exactly like this, but
No,
it
but
reminds.
and I actually like this better than Van Gogh, because everybody talks about Van. This has like this is more moving. This is interesting. I like that one really.
Yeah, I like this one too. I like it better than the fruit basket and all that.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the fruit basket, but it's interesting.
Yeah. And let's see what else. Um,
The
I
clouds are
think
so emotive, and so are the trees. They almost feel like they could be swept up in the wind.
right. Yeah, and it's exactly the same signature, and so I don't know. Okay, and that's him. That's his also, and this one is, it's not that abstract. You can tell what it is.
No, you can tell what it is. It's an interesting pose, though. It's just kind of like not like the classical nudes. It's more just like, oh, here I am. Like it's very
Yeah,
avant-garde, kind of. I would say, like,
yeah, and it's not trying to make her look super, sexy or super beautiful. It just looks like a natural woman.
I think so. I think that's like the whole image he's trying to convey.
Yeah. Okay, and then yeah, I like this one better than the other, still life.
Yeah, this one's a little bit more depth to it. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. That bottle, it looks like it's got pineapple in it.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
So you can see it's kind of transparent and you can see things inside.
Yeah, and then it's like a jug. There's a jug there.
Yeah,
Interesting. There's a lot of different things going on in this painting.
right. You know what Sandy Hester says is that the paintings should reward looking so that if you can't see everything at first glance and you discover new things as you look at it.
And that would be the beauty of owning a piece of art. I kind of get why people want to buy the actual art these days, you know?
Yeah, I like this one. You see, this is actually a portrait.
Yeah, that is the same woman, maybe.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's the same woman, same face.
yes, and it's very natural looking. Uh, it's not very detailed, but I wouldn't call it abstract at all.
No, it's a pretty good portrait, actually.
Yes. So, and this is more along the lines of the style in which the painting that I have is, you
Yeah,
know.
it is. You're right. Like it has a similar theme.
Yeah. I always assumed that my painting is in Jerusalem, but now I realize it must be in France.
That's interesting, though. It looks more like the Middle East or the Mediterranean, though, that painting. It just does not look like France, but maybe southern France? I don't know.
Yeah, that could be. That could be.
He lived in
Okay.
a town near the Pyrenees, so yeah, I guess I can maybe see it now. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. This is interesting. Oh, he likes
Oh,
bread, I guess. But you know,
oh, yeah.
people always painted still life, so lots of practice, I guess, right? Like paint a still life.
Right. Yeah. This bread looks pretty good to eat. I think I might even eat it, because probably. Okay, that's a lot like my painting, the one I have.
You know what's interesting? He had to climb up a hill to look down to paint that. You have to appreciate that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Are those pomegranates, do you think?
I think so. Those look like pomegranates to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's nice.
Is that same woman again? It kind of looks like her.
No, no,
It's a
I think
different
this
one.
one it's a different one.
Okay.
This one is a more dressed up, gussied up one, and she's a
Yeah,
little
her hair is a little bit more fancy, a little bit
and
slender.
skinnier. She's
Yeah,
skinnier too. She's
yeah. I'm probably a little bit younger, maybe.
yeah, I'm not sure, but I think she might be a different class. The other woman looked like she might be a laborer
I
and
think she was. I think she was a local woman, maybe in the Pyrenees, in the countryside. That's what I get from
yeah, yeah,
hearing
and
it.
this one is more in a cafe or
Like
something.
a Parisian type woman that's
Yes,
maybe upper middle class. I don't know exactly.
yeah, something like that. Okay, some more still life.
I guess we really like the still life.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't
there's.
know.
I think we're
Yeah,
just kind of going in a loopy loop again, but we can if you want.
no, we don't have to. Let me
Does he have
see.
any other paintings or anything?
Well, they don't seem to have mine, the one I have.
Aw, But that's
But
kind of cool because yours is an original, Aya. You own original art. This is another reason I think if somebody has a beautiful original piece of art, sell it. Like if you don't want to keep it, sell it to someone that's going to pay you. Like this woman found this beautiful original piece of art, and people were pressuring her to donate it to a museum, but she sold it to a private art collector. Why
well,
not?
yeah, so I contacted someone because I wanted to interview her because her work is with that, and she had a video on YouTube
Mhm.
about this guy. And this is the picture of him. This is what he looked like.
Oh, interesting. And there's his paintbrushes. It's kind of neat though to see like the view from his window and think about did he paint that?
Uh-huh. And he looks like poets that I knew that I would visit in a cafe in Tel Aviv. You know, he has that look.
He does
That's
look like an artist, I would say for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Okay, well, I mean, I think that's probably enough about him, but I just thought it was interesting that here I am interested in art and all that, and I have a chimpanzee who's interested in art too. And behind me on right over my desk, there is this painting that is kind of famous. Well, I mean, it's by a famous artist.
I mean, it. I had always wondered about the painting. Remember, I always was always asking you. I'm like, oh, where is that from? Like, that's so interesting. Like, I was always fascinated by it. I always thought about it when we did live streams.
Yeah, so I sent you a picture of it. Do you want to screen share the picture that because you can't see it very well from here.
Let me see. Try and find it. You sent it to me in Facebook or on my
Uh,
phone.
I don't
Let me look.
know.
You probably sent it to me on Facebook. Let me look. Let me look. I think no. Let me see. Hold on. I can send it to myself.
Well, I can send it to you again. You know, I
Okay.
can. So um, here's one copy of it,
Yeah, you can.
and I can also send you my shagapal. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna see if I can try and open it and share it. Mhm. Okay. Do.
I could just move out of the way so that people can see it.
No, it's. I mean, yeah. Let me just see if I can bring it up though. I'm gonna try.
Yeah, I don't want to take it off the wall because I don't think that's going to work, very well.
I don't think. Yeah. So let me see if I started sharing the wrong thing. Okay, share slide. Maybe do you have no slides? No. Share screen share. Because I'm on my new computer. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No
It's just
problem.
it's not really doing things the way the other one does. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I
let me see if it will let me screen share from
I could
my
show
my
it with my phone though. I could do that. I could just I can go to the picture you sent me and I could put the phone up if that works.
No, 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 don't do that. That's not I have that on my phone as well, but no, what we want to do is get the picture, but it's not considered a slide, is it? Um,
No, I mean I could download it to my computer and make it a slide. I could do that. I'm just having I still need to play around with this new computer. It doesn't really let me share things quite the other way. I'm still setting it up if that makes any sense.
hmm.
Okay, maybe. Let me see if I can do this. Share it as a slide. I'll see.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. I probably should have prepared that,
Oh, it's
but
okay. just want to see if it will let me. Don't do that. It's interesting. Unless it thinks it's on OneDrive. Let's see. Yeah, it's lost somewhere.
Yeah.
So
I was trying to put all that into the video, but the thing is, it takes so long to render. I had to really
no.
hurry.
I mean, I'm trying to see if I can add this picture to another place where I can share it. This is literally just me. Like, I've done a couple of things with this new computer, but I haven't really live streamed with it at all, right? Did I tell you that?
No, you haven't.
This is its first. This is like its debut. Huh. Yeah, it's so different. Like the other one, things just get saved, and this one doesn't want to be saved where I put it. So I can keep trying to play around with it, but it's just not.
It's okay. It's all right. I mean, this is the painting right here.
Okay.
Uh,
It's very beautiful though. I do really love it.
yeah. And I don't know. I mean, so I wrote to this lady. Do you want to know what she said?
Well, what did she say?
Okay, let me go in there. So she said, Aya, the easiest way to get an estimate. See, I wanted her to be interested enough to want to estimate it, not because I want to sell it, but just
Yeah.
because I want it. She said the easiest way to get an estimate if you are in Israel is to send images of the front and back of the painting as well as the dimensions to the auction house in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv and see what they say. If you are in the US, you can do the same and send the information to Sotheby's, Christie's, and Bonhams and see what they say. I hope this helps, Carol. But here's the thing, I have this painting, and the Wikipedia doesn't know about this painting.
Yeah.
And Sotheby's and all those places don't know about this painting. So I wonder if should I capitalize on the fact that I'm the one who knows it? Should I publish information about it on Pub Wages?
Yes.
Or,
You do it. Forget them because why give them your intellectual property? It's your property. You are the
well,
private collector, this owner of this painting. Do you?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's important. Like, you know what? I say you capitalize on it.
yeah. I don't know that it would be such a great capitalization. I should at least get AdSense on Pub Wages before I do that.
I mean, but here's the thing, somebody might be looking for that artist, okay? They're not going to see this particular painting on Wikipedia or another art wiki. And then if they Google his name and it's on Pub Wages, they're going to come to your article and you're going to get more traffic. And that's kind of what I see anyway.
Right. Yeah. I would actually be interested in interviewing people who are in the art business and asking them how they evaluate art, because I don't really understand how they do that.
It'd be
Um,
interesting to know for sure. I would love to know how people do that.
yeah, so the other thing is, um, she had something about that. Her name is Carol Pinto. Let me find that. Um, okay, so I'm gonna just a minute share her site for. Okay. So she says Carol Pinto is an art dealer and advisor specializing in museum quality paintings with an emphasis on the contemporary and modern art market. The collection highlights the rich cross cultural pollination among artists who converged in Paris at the turn of the century and produced works that are rapidly gaining value and worldwide recognition. The selection of these rarefied pieces is based on a rigorous evaluation of quality over name recognition, with a focus on the highest standards of connoisseurship and expertise. Okay, so I'm not sure what she means by quality over name recognition.
Okay, maybe something like, for example, she's talking about the composition, like how detailed is it? Is it really beautiful? Whereas, like, you could have, like, I don't know, Andy Warhol, and some of his stuff is not that spectacular, but his name, is well known. Whereas, I don't know, that painting that we just saw, that's very detailed painting. I don't know who created it though.
Um, oh, you mean at the top of her
At the very
page?
top, I think it's just I think what they're trying to say is they're looking for expertise over a particular name. You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. So here's a quote from her. She said, building an art collection is not a privilege reserved for a select few, and one can indeed acquire a beautiful and
Ooh.
rewarding selection of artwork commensurate with one's budget.
Ooh.
Collecting art is a labor of love, a passion that is exhilarating, and that paves the way for a lifetime of pleasure and fulfillment.
That makes me so happy. That is so much nicer than like this. Remember when we were talking about that Banksy? Like, oh, that was making me mad. This makes me happy. That's very beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. So she has an Instagram page and she has a YouTube
Oh,
and
interesting.
on her YouTube she does have this artist right here.
Oh, that is really cool. From our artist that we just of your painting,
Yes,
Pinchus.
yes. So I don't know why it's looking like this,
He
but
actually lived a very long life till 91. So it's interesting just to think about all the different things he saw and painted.
mhm. But there we go. I don't know. Is it making it impossible to share that?
Maybe they're just, I don't know. Like, I saw a little bit of the video. I
Right.
wish she would have wanted to come on, though. It would have been interesting to talk to her.
Yes.
But I do think there's other art dealers that might be interested in being interviewed. There are a lot of art dealers in the world. That's a thought.
Yeah. I was just interested in her because she knew about this artist.
This particular
And
artist, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So,
Ooh, here's a thought. I am maybe like, do you know the exact story about how you they purchased this or who gave it? Like, do you think
no, no, see, that's the other thing. I I suspect they met. See,
they
my
might have
grandfather,
met? I think there has to be somewhere in your papers. You'll find it, maybe.
well, yeah, it could take a lifetime. I have so many papers to go over, but yeah, I suspect that they did meet and that would be part of what I would want to know about.
Searching for Pinkus, the I Had Cats edition.
Yeah, so my grandfather knew a lot of artists, um, authors, poets, and he might have even been given that as a gift by the artist.
It would be interesting to know the story behind it. But even if we don't know the exact story, it's kind of interesting and fascinating to learn more about that painting that I'd always been curious about on your wall.
Yeah, and isn't it funny? It was just because my phone was telling me it could find out who painted my painting.
That is so funny. So if you take a picture of your Mona Lisa painting, what is your phone going to tell you that like it's Mona Lisa?
My Mona Lisa doesn't really look like the Mona Lisa.
I have to start seeing what my phone says because I don't look that much into it. Just with my paintings, just to see. I'm just curious.
Well, I wouldn't take it too seriously what the phone says because the phone
With our own paintings, yeah, because we're not famous. I know.
the phone thinks that Bo is a dog.
Oh my god. I'm sorry, but it also thinks okay. It does tell me that the harem self-time drawing that I made that it's a lady named Harem. It thinks it's somebody that lives in Redlands. Like okay, yeah, you're very smart, iPhone, whatever.
Yeah, it's somewhat limited, but it has a lot of ambition, you know. So it creates categories for me, and some of them are quite interesting. Like it will say something like the golden hour, and then it shows me all the times that I took sunset photos.
Yes, I have lots because I love to take sunset palm tree photos, and it gives me the golden hour in Redlands, Loma Linda. But it also has themes like morning at home, morning in Loma Linda, afternoon in Loma Linda, the golden hour. It's getting so poetic, and I'm like, and then sometimes I'm walking by a restaurant and it goes dining memories. I was like, I wasn't even eating there; I was just walking by. You are so silly.
Yeah, well, I don't let it know where I am. So
No, I know you don't tell it where you are, but if you tell it where you are, it gets a little bit more ridiculous, is what I'm saying.
yeah, no, it's sure that I've never been any place except Loma Linda and Redlands
That's
because
funny that it thinks that it's that you've been there because of my picture.
yes.
Maybe
So
that's
that might be why we get recommendations that are very similar because they think we're the same person.
I guess so. They do. That's funny, but I don't know why they think Bo is a dog.
Well, it's really weird, you know, because when I when I took a picture of the painting that I did of you, and I wanted to do portrait, and it
Mhm,
let me do portrait. You know, when you take a picture under portrait mode, it will blur the background
mhm.
and it will make the person sharp.
Yes, I did that the
And
other day with some, but I didn't really like the way I looked in the.
anyway, it did that with the painting. It actually believed that that was a person, you know. But I tried to do that by taking a photo of Bo, and it said no person detected. So it's
Okay,
pretty weird.
that's weird because he's there. Like that's weird. It just doesn't know what Bo is, who he is.
Yeah, it just does not know.
It just doesn't. I guess you would have to have more people that had chimpanzees that were telling iPhone like, "Oh, this is a chimpanzee, not a dog," and
Yeah, but I mean, I can fool it with a painting and it will you say, okay, I see the person.
I don't know. That's weird. I can't account for that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Here's what my concern is that I might be going the wrong way with art is I know that artists uh are are very open to this kind of expressive way of painting and
Mhm.
are appreciative of it, but what what if we're just talking to each other? You know, if artists are just talking to each other and we've forgotten, you
The
know, the
public.
public. Yeah. So that's my concern. So I don't want to ever get to the point where I'm painting just for other artists. I would like to paint for regular people.
Well, I guess you could do a little bit of both. Like you can do some paintings that are expressive for what you want to like convey, and then maybe if you want to paint something popular, you can do that too. You know.
Well, I don't think about it that way. What I'm painting is mostly to please myself, but um I'm wondering if that can also please just an ordinary person, you know?
I get what you're saying, because if it's too expressive, you think it might just be of interest to people that are interested in this genre of painting, and maybe not.
Yeah, because I never wanted to be a juried artist. I never wanted to be judged by my peers. I thought there was something kind of bogus about that.
I don't like how people pay to enter competition. That's just, I'm not going to do that. Why?
Yeah, no, so I don't want that. I don't want to say, oh, all the other artists think it's good, so it must be good. I want a regular person off the street to think it's good, you know?
Well, that can be your goal. Like, you don't have to do it all the time, but like I said, like, maybe try and think of one piece you could create that might really appeal to your audience. I don't know.
No,
But
yeah, no, that's not the point. The point is, I'm gauging it really by my own taste, but I don't want to go off the deep end. That's
yeah,
really
I
what.
got you. I mean, we'll do most of your own taste, but what I was just suggesting is if you want to try and do a painting that you think might be of interest to like a lot of people, you could try that once or twice.
It's not, yeah, it's not about of interest to other people or not. It's about what they see in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of complicated. It's not like, oh, this baseball player is really famous and popular, so paint him. And that would be of interest to a lot of people. What I'm saying is, if I paint a girl, any girl,
Mm-hmm.
pretty girl, I want other people to also see that girl the way I see her. You know what I'm saying?
That they can like appreciate the beauty and they fall in love with the portrait of that girl. Yes,
Right.
I
Yeah.
get what you're
So
saying.
I don't want it, if it looks so abstract that the average person can't tell what it is, I don't want to do that. But on the other hand, I also don't want to become one of those hyper realistic people that have to draw every pore in a person's face.
I mean, I like realism, but I've never done that. There is some real extreme realism where it looks like a photograph, and at that point, I'm kind of like, I don't really understand the point.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like the idea of doing the shortcut and not doing all the extra work to
Mhm.
get every detail correct. But that shortcut has to convey it to other people. If it doesn't, then I miss my goal.
Okay, well, I guess what you could do is you just keep doing these paintings that you're enjoying the loose painting, and then you can just gauge like which ones people seem to resonate with the most while still painting what you want to paint. You could do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I am doing that. It's just a question of getting the audience so that I can have the feedback.
No, I got you. I got what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. So, what are you going to paint next if you're done?
Um, well, I finished that, and I think I showed you, but I wanted to start the drawing of myself,
Hmm.
but I just like, I don't know. I don't have this roadblock exactly, but I've been doing the water painting right now, watercolor painting, because I feel like that's quicker. But this painting I'm envisioning is a little bit more detailed. Does that make any sense? So I feel
Uh,
like it's going to be more of a, whereas I'm kind of having fun just doing like, I think I showed you all the different landscapes and flowers I did. Like, I had so much fun just doing these more quick for me, kind of like this.
huh.
And
Yeah.
it was so much fun.
Uh, Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the South Pacific. And then I finally fixed the background on that one.
Oh, it's beautiful. I
I know
love it.
it looks so much better. I mean, I probably would have done that table, that color, but whatever. I was just playing around.
Yeah. No, it is beautiful now.
I think it looks a lot better. Before it was getting kind of silly. And then we have this one. I like this. It kind of reminds me of the South Pacific again.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then what else do I have? I have a blank paper. And then at the bottom, I still need to frame Harem Sultan, but here she
Oh,
is.
yes.
And that's kind of my more
Beautiful.
detailed one. But I ended up painting. It was colored pencil at the beginning, but the jacket and
Yeah.
the background ended up being painted, whereas the hair is colored pencil.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it was kind of neat how that evolved. And then I guess by the end of that painting, I just decided, or drawing, um mixed media piece, I'm kind of like, I want to paint more. Like it's more fun than colored pencil, more
Yeah.
expressive. You have a lot more ability to let it flow, you know.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So
That's
that's what I worked on recently. And also, I'll just show you this. My I mean, the kitty
oh,
cat.
beautiful.
Yeah, I it's a combination of two ideas. Irina outside, she would always escape, and a photograph I took in the mountains on a hike.
I love the eyes on her.
I know, she's very funny. She was just kind of like, I'm mischievous, I'm gonna run away. This was just so her. Like, it used to drive me crazy because, like, I mean, yeah, you could have an outside cat if you have property and land, but I didn't really want her wandering around all the time. But she was always okay. That was the thing. She was okay when she was by herself wandering around. It's like, I can't say what she wasn't okay, but you know. Anyway, maybe I shouldn't have worried so much about her wandering around outside. I guess.
Yeah, well, it's not really safe for a cat outside where I am. You know, there was that one cat that
I know.
uh, I don't think it made it. You know, and I just couldn't let it in the house because of my allergies.
Yeah, if you have allergies from dust, I don't think with a cat you could handle that. Um, it's hard though because even here, I mean, I wouldn't want her to be outside all the time. But the thing about her was she was a semi-feral cat. When I adopted her, somebody had just dropped her off, so she was eating grass like to try and survive, and cat really survive on grass. So we started feeding her in the backyard, and I didn't really want to bring her inside at first. Reason being is like I was like, I don't like, I like cats, but I wasn't really ready to have another cat. But then we just decided to take her in. So, but at this point, like, yeah, I thought about getting another pet, but not until I move.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's just my thought. Maybe someday like another cat or dog, but not right now.
I think maybe it's easier with dogs if you got a very small dog, you know.
It could be, but I don't think I would. Not in an apartment because you have to walk them, and it's weird. They make you DNA poo your dog. It's I don't want to deal with all that.
Okay, I got it. I got it.
That's gross, but no. But literally, if somebody like finds something, they get fined because like, oh no, you didn't pick up after your dog, and it was in the wrong spot, and like I don't know. It just seems weird, but I think if you live out in the country, having a dog is a wonderful thing. I just don't think it's fair. Okay, two dogs, what I'm seeing like a lot. Like I love dogs, they're very sweet, but I just don't know if dogs always want to go to the store with people and be in public all the time, like a person. Do you think they want to be in handbags and traveling down in the super? I don't know. Do dogs really want to be doing that?
Look, I mean, in other countries, some dogs actually go to the store without their master and bring back food.
Yeah,
So,
I guess they do. I guess dogs do that.
yeah, so it's just a question of the of what is customary in whatever country.
That's true. Maybe it's just changing now. I'm just seeing dogs everywhere lately, and dogs go everywhere now. But like 10 years ago, that wasn't really the case. And I don't have a problem with it. It's just surprising. I'm like, oh, like there's a dog like everywhere all the time. It's just a big shift. But
Yeah, everything is shifting.
yeah, but I guess it's good in a way. But the only reason I'm gonna preface like, okay, that dog, he was by himself and he could go to the store and get the food. Nobody was upset that he didn't have an owner or a leash, right? Were they like all upset about that?
No.
Whereas I guess what I'm trying to say that I think is a little ridiculous is, oh no, the doggy was off the leash for 5 minutes. Let's panic.
Yeah, no, that's the same thing with children. The children are not supposed to be off the leash at any time either.
Yeah, like the people that find the children for riding the bus by themselves. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like how will kids ever learn how to get anywhere if they can't start going by somewhere by themselves by a certain age?
Yeah, yeah,
But I don't know, not to get off the art topic, but yeah, I don't know. Anyways, very interesting.
yeah. So I guess that's kind of a nice topic to paint. Maybe, kids going to school and their dog following them or something.
That would be really cute. Like if you painted maybe a little boy and his dog. I don't know.
Yeah, could be.
I always think of like a little boy walking to school and his dog following him.
I need to learn how to do landscapes, not because I want to do landscapes, but because I want to have a nice background to something like
Mhm.
that.
Well, you could just maybe this is what I think appeals to me. I think I'm really good at landscapes, but if I have to rush, sometimes I don't like certain elements of it, but I might like another element more. Maybe you can think of like, is there a certain kind of tree that you like to paint or bush, like a specific thing, and you could just make a lot of those in the background, and that can start as your background, and then you can start varying it. You see what I'm saying? You pick one element that you really like.
No, but what I really want is like if it's a child going to school, I need the street. I need to be able to show the environment of where he's walking, you know.
Okay. Well, like for example, you could make it very simple. Like you could make a pathway. Like it could start with a country scene where it's a little bit more open to interpretation. Like it's an open road. It's
Yeah,
not a
okay, I'll
street.
show you what my problem is with my when I tried to do just a sunset, remember?
Mhm.
And it turned into a blob.
I mean, I think the only reason is because with okay, when you're doing a portrait, like you're kind of blotting more. I think you're taking away more. This is one thing I've seen too, even when I do like the landscape portraits. I kind of just have to let it dry for a little bit and then go back. It's a little bit more finicky, I think, in a way. Does that make
Yeah,
any sense? I don't know. But you could
yeah,
try doing more of them. Just do more of them and you'll get what you want. I think you just need to practice.
yeah. I mean, I don't get as much pleasure out of it. That's why I don't practice. That's the
That's
thing
what I'm
about,
saying. I don't think it's your you, but maybe once in a while you could do one so you could
yeah,
just have a background for the dog and the child.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, this has been a great discussion, and uh, I never really thought of myself as an art collector, but you know what? I'm that too. I'm not just somebody who likes to paint.
No, you are an art collector. You have a piece of art in your house, and maybe you have more in storage, like somewhere else in your house. Do you have other paintings that are
I
original?
have other paintings. I just don't have them all identified.
See, I'm telling you, you are an art collector then.
Yeah, yeah.
That's very
So,
neat. Actually better than like sending it to the company to be appraised because you own the intellectual property to this painting, Aya. It's yours. You know that, right?
well,
Don't
that's
you?
not no. The artist has the intellectual property,
But didn't
but
the
the
copyright pass on his?
yeah, it passed to his heirs if he has any.
Oh,
See, that's why I find the whole.
oh.
That's why I'm wondering if I sent a picture of it to those houses, if they wouldn't claim copyright to the whole thing and wouldn't let me show the image, you know?
Hmm.
So that's part of what I'm wondering
Okay,
about.
I wouldn't even send it to those houses, but it's your own private painting that you own, so you can put it on pub wages. You see, and if
Yeah,
anybody's interested, I do think this is a good venue for it.
yeah.
But I didn't know how many errors he had. I'm sorry, I wasn't sure about all that.
How many what?
I didn't know he had errors because some of the artists
Oh,
don't. Like some of them
yeah.
die in
What?
obscurity. So I didn't know much about him. You know,
Yeah, no, I don't know anything about his ears. I'm just saying that it doesn't naturally pass to the person who owns the picture, you know.
but there are what I'm trying to convey is there are some famous works of art that are in the public domain right now, and people
Yes.
sell them. I guess is what I'm trying to say. So,
Yeah, but this is not, I don't think that it's a question of how many years since he passed. That's all.
okay.
Yeah.
So he passed in 19. Oh yeah, it hasn't been that long. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
be the problem. That's
Yes.
my problem. I'm sorry. It would need to
Yeah.
be far much more further back. So sorry about
Yeah. So I have to wait a while.
yeah. So I guess I was overestimating. It was much more recent that he passed. So now that makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to get in contact with his heirs though, and like find the people that are related to him, and interview one of those people.
Yeah, yeah. I actually, if there were any contemporaries still alive, I would be interested in that because I would like to know how my grandfather got a hold of this painting.
Well, that would be neat if you could find that out. But what if Pincus has like a grandson that I don't know loves to paint like him, and they might even have a similar? You never know. Like I just think it could be an interesting story.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm sure there's a story behind all of this. Yeah.
But thank
So,
you for inviting me on. I really appreciate it. It was interesting hearing about your art.
yeah, well, thank you also for inviting me to be on your show, and I really enjoyed painting there. And by the way, in my description, I do have a link to the video on your channel of us painting together.
And I'm gonna be adding yours to mine tonight because I'm actually refining the thumbnail because I did not get around to that yet. It didn't select the one I wanted, so I'm gonna go back in and do a screen grab or something. So we'll
Okay, very good. And we'll do some painting together next week.
yes, I look forward to that.
Okay, well, good night.
Good night, Aya. Bye.